Wingman Joker, thank you for listening to this channel and please support the channel. Please subscribe. Chapter 16. How it was done. Come on in. Hearing Lily's voice, Victor answered her, but kept his head down examining the documents in his hands. And after hearing the sound of her little footsteps entering the room, he raised his head to look at Lily, who had just entered the room, and stood gracefully waiting for her young master's commands. He had to swallow his saliva. In the morning he could see that she was beautiful despite the dust and dirt that covered her. But now he discovered that he underestimated her beauty. He could not stop staring at her snowy white skin, her dark black hair and her pretty face. She was wearing pink pajamas, probably prepared by the maids. It suited her very well, and although Lily did not have a curvy body shape, her slim stature suited her well. He had lived for a long time, but few of the beauties he knew rivaled her. But unfortunately for him, there are things he must do first, before he can devour her. I have to make her wear a veil, I can't let other men look at her, he thought. Victor, after being astonished by Lily's beauty for a brief moment, he quickly reminded himself to keep cool and be a good young master, so he coughed twice, covering his nose, as he felt the blood leaking. You look pretty, now go, close the door. Lily blushed because of his words, and while keeping her head down in shame she turned around and closed the door. Her actions made her fail to see the bewildered look on Victor's face right now, whose nose started to bleed. And how he quickly took out a handkerchief from his pocket and stealthily wiped away the blood from his nose. Then coughed a few more times, hiding his embarrassment. Lily, hearing his cough, looked at him with concern and asked, Young master, are you okay? I am fine. Now come here and sit down, we need to talk. Then he pointed to the opposite sofa. Lily looked a little nervous, but she went and sat there. Don't be nervous, I know what you are thinking about, but I will not sleep with you right now, Victor said, and that surprised her as she has already prepared herself. Young master, are you in any way dissatisfied with me? She asked while feeling a little aggrieved. Don't ask stupid questions, or I will punish you, Victor replied with a smile. It is just not the time yet, as both of us need to fully awaken our bloodlines first. Any nightly activities before that will have a detrimental effect on us, he explained while watching the anxious Lily becoming relieved. He wanted to awaken his bloodline during the ceremony by choosing a blood master or a dragon disciple class, as they had skills that can help him ignite or awaken his blood, but he ended up preferring to choose a different class. Now he has a grand plan for his and Lily's bloodline awakening, and she must be a virgin for it to succeed, and the same goes for him. Then, may I ask the young master, why did you request for me to accompany you in your chamber at this late hour? She asked in a cold voice. It seems she was really looking forward to sleeping with her young master. It's not me who wants something, he said while holding his laugh. He seemed to have understood what she was thinking, and that made Lily blush even more. Didn't you want to ask me something? He asked. Ah, yes, she seemed to have finally remembered what she wanted to ask him about. It's about Guy's death, as he did not allow her to ask in the hall earlier. Young master, about Guy, she began to question him in a low voice, but Victor interrupted her and asked. Why did you want to kill him? Did you think I would believe your pathetic excuse at the hall? You were there to find a suitable chance to disturb his ritual and kill him, right? That made Lily stand up and bow her head in shame. Then nodded. Young master, I am very sorry I lied to you and the elders, she said with a serious tone. Guy was a monster, and there is a reason I wanted to kill him. It was because he killed my best friend for fun during one training session a year ago. He tortured her there and let us watch. Then he promised us that he will do the same to me and my sisters after the ceremony, she said with her tears dropping on the floors from the top of her flushed cheeks. I had to avenge my sister and protect the others. Then she bowed deeply. I am really sorry. Victor looked at her and then rebuked her. When did I allow you to stand up? Sit down. She quickly sat down timidly. So Victor continued, you don't need to be sorry for killing a monster like him, but needs to be very sorry for lying to me, he said. I will forgive you this once, but don't ever do it again, he said with a cold tone. If Lily looked him in the eyes at this very moment, she would be shocked by how chilled they were. Then his tone became cheerful again. Now, wipe off your tears. He didn't like the sight of her sad tears. Do you want to know how Guy died? He asked with a smile. Lily quickly used the cuffs of her pajamas to wipe her tears, then looked up at him with her red eyes and said in a firm tone, May the young master enlighten me. Victor looked her deep in the eyes and said, What I will tell you now, will not leave this room, understood? Lily quickly nodded her head in acknowledgement. The pill Guy took should be the Misty Blood pill. Do you know anything about it? He asked, but Lily shook her head. She has never heard of such a pill. Victor continued with a solemn look, it is a very evil pill. To create it, you are required to refine 10 pureblood babies while they are alive. That made Lily feel a chill in her back and gasp for air. They are monsters, from where would they get the bee? She wanted to ask, but Victor beat her to the answer. Guy's father should be Dick, the master of the assassins, Hall, so it should be doable for him. You have not completed your assassin training yet, right? He asked Lily. She shook her head, no, not yet, only the final test remains, but the Hall master listened to Guy's request and delayed it till after ceremony. Oh, so that's what happened. Well, that means you don't know. It's just that the family sends its assassins on all kinds of missions. Some of them are to spy at and sometimes assassinate members from other families. Victor explained, then, would the family give orders to kill babies? Lily's face turned white when she thought of that. She was trained as an assassin, and she was even made to kill someone before, but never a child. She wouldn't be able to do that. No, they wish they could, but there was an agreement between the major families many years ago. It stated that no assassination would be attempted at any family member before his ceremony, Victor reassured her, then continued. So it is most likely Dick's idea. He probably kidnapped some low-level or illegitimate children here and there and kept a secret. Searching for someone with a pure bloodline is not an easy task. It probably took him many years. Perhaps, he started this operation when Guy had just been born. But the one thing that puzzles me is from where did he get the recipe for it? It is a forbidden pill after all. He said with his hand holding his chin. Lily was a little shocked by such news. Yet she had to ask with concern, shouldn't we notify the family? If the family were to be alerted, she might get into trouble. No, not, for now anyway, I have plans for him, and you don't need to worry. It will have nothing to do with you. Dick's end will be more miserable than his son's, he said with an evil grin. Then he continued, when Guy took that pill, his bloodline purity increased. But his blood essence became heterogeneous, as it came from different sources, and probably none of them is from the Von Weiss family. So they do not mix with Guy's original bloodline well. At the ceremony, the orb only samples the bloodline once. So it does not matter. However, when you kept looking at him, the orb kept going back to him. Just like when you keep pressing the same link in a smartphone, and that made the system retest his bloodline quite a few times. He said slowly. Ah, Lily exclaimed. So the orb found that he has multiple completely different bloodlines and they didn't belong to him, and that triggered an error and caused a bug. When the world rules fixed the bug, it removed the conflicting bloodlines altogether. So poor Guy lost all bloodlines, including his original one. Victor finished his explanation. Young master, while I get the gist of it, I don't understand how this bug thing works, Lily tilted her head and stated. You will learn about it in the future, but not now, it is still too early. He answered with a head shake. And remember, not a word to anyone, understood? He ordered. Lily nodded her head, understood. She confirmed. She is now full of reverence for her young master. Now, for the second thing, I need you for, this happens to be a very important task, he said, as looked at Lily sternly. Yes, young master, she answered nervously. He stood up then walked to where she was sitting and put his hands on her shoulders. I am feeling tired, so I am going to sleep now. However, as I am not used to the pillows here, you will have to be my pillow for tonight. Victor ordered the speechless Lily. And with that, he ruined his good image in her mind again. Chapter 17, Lily's Thoughts. Lily does not remember much about her early childhood, she was sold to the Von Weiss family at a young age. They took her with other children and began their training right away. They sent them to a huge camp on one of the archipelago's island, there were many children like her there. They were taught basic knowledge at first like reading and writing, with some martial arts, then when they seemed to have learned those, they would be castled to one of the family's numerous halls. Lily had a petite body, and a high aptitude in martial arts, so she was sent to the Assassin's Hall, where her suffering began. All the children in the Assassin's Hall had to suffer through very harsh training, where they even had them kill people and fight criminals, causing many of them to die early. Whenever one of the young family heirs comes to the hall on missions or for training, she would look at their princely look and yearn like every little girl, that someday one of them would take her away on a white horse, but she knew in her heart that these are mere dreams. She still persisted, hoping that one day she would finish this training and be able to roam the world. The worst day in her life came when the hall master's son Guy decided to create a special assassination unit under his command, so she and a few of her sisters were chosen because of their nice looks. Especially her. She could see the perverted look in Guy's eyes, so she made sure after that to always smear some dirt on her face so that she would not attract his attention. Guy was a monster. He enjoyed torturing them in various methods. Under the excuse of training them, they still persisted, hoping that one day this will be over. Until that day when Guy made Lily and her sisters watch as he brutally tortured one of them to death, saying that he is training their mentality. That girl was her best friend. He seems to have regretted killing that girl, but for the wrong reason. As he wished to sleep with her first. So he asked for permission from his father to sleep with the girls before their final test, as they will become agents of the family when they pass. The family will not blame him if a few trainees died. On the other hand, killing an agent of the family is not a small offense. But his father refused, telling him that he can do what he wants after the ceremony. As for the girls, he will delay their test. Hearing Guy brag in front of them about how he will fix every one of them, she made a decision. She is going to sacrifice herself for her sisters, as she was the best assassin amongst them. She is going to enter the ceremony and take Guy's life there where she might get a chance. So she volunteered to be one of the servants in the ceremony, but Dick refused, as he knew his son had his eyes on this girl. Left with no other choice, she took advantage of the situation on ceremony day and secretly boarded the ferry headed to the central island. She was prepared to die, and she will take Guy's life with hers. But she underestimated the family's preparation, as after reaching the ceremony hall she was caught by the guards and she had to fight with them, and although she was able to defeat many of them, more kept coming, but she was finally subdued by a strike from an elder who showed up out of nowhere. She knew she was going to die. But she did not want to, not before killing that monster, and just when she was planning to make her last struggle, someone grabbed and pulled her head, and then she heard his arrogant voice, "I like this girl," he said. Looking at the boy's charming face and grayish-purple hair, she felt her heart beating faster. "Is this my Prince Charming?" she thought, but then she shook her head. She should not hold much hope, she told herself. But to her surprise, this young master, who she did not know, was able to get her out of trouble with ease, and he even called her his own. After entering the hall, the young master made her sit on his lap. This made her feel very ashamed, but she had to persist. It will all end when she kills Guy. He asked her about her reasons. She felt ashamed as she had to tell him a lie, but she couldn't tell anyone about her objective. But somehow she was able to divert his attention to Guy, who was there staring at her with murderous eyes. Maybe he can help her, she thought. She has become his, anyway. But the young master's reaction exceeded her wildest expectations. He did not get angry at her but gave her a weird method to kill Guy. That can't be true, can it? She thought. After starting the ceremony, he helped her sit in a place where she would be able to target Guy, so she decided to follow his crazy plan. If it failed, she will try after the chaos starts. She has heard that many people will die, so she can use the chaos to act at that time, but still, she held some hope in the corner of her heart. Maybe her young master's plan would work. The ceremony started and it was like something of a fantasy tale. She kept her eyes open despite the pain and stared at the Guy for 1 minute just as he told her to, and she could feel a wave of light going between her and Guy. Then after 1 minute, the pain was so unbearable that she was forced to close her eyes, and her ritual began. She succeeded, but that did not matter at that time. Only one thought was kept in her mind: to kill Guy. When she opened her eyes, she quickly started looking for Guy, who was there, dead on the floor, with blood rushing out of his 7 orifices. It worked. Her young master told her the truth. He did really help her. She looked at him and he looked at her and smiled. She fell in love at that moment and she knew it. After that, he stood against his family's interests. And helped her again and again. It was all like a dream for her. She was ready to repay him with her body tonight. When he saw her, he was so astonished by her true beauty that his nose bled. She saw it, but she acted as if she did not see a thing. And then he forgave her for lying to him, and in the end, did not agree to sleep with her so that she can become stronger later. She does not know if he loves her, but she knows that he cares about her. Looking at the morning sun out of the window while feeling her young master's faint breath on her lap. She looked down at him, who was drooling while using her thighs as a pillow, and smiled. She had decided, from this moment onward, she is his property, and no matter how he feels about her, she would spend every moment in her life in his service. Chapter 18, Punishment. Victor woke up early in the morning at the sound of his phone ringing. He could feel Lily's thighs under his head and her hands caressing his hair. But he had no energy to open his eyes, so he could only utter a couple of words to Lily: "You answer it." He was too sleepy to answer it himself, and there should be no one important on the other side. "Good morning, madam." "Yes, this is his phone. I am Lily, his personal maid." No, he is sleeping soundly in my lap right now. Victor briskly opened his eyes when he heard Lily. Shit, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have let her answer, he thought. He quickly sat down and took the phone from Lily's hand, then shot her a threatening look while he greeted his mother. Yes, it was his mother on the phone. He should have called her the previous day to report his results, but he forgot. Ah, hello dear mother, he said. Now, you remember your mother, I guess you were too busy playing with that new maid of yours. His mother's angry voice sounded from the other side of the phone. It's not that, I just thought that father should have already told you my results, he explained. And, what about your father telling me? Does it have anything to do with you? Put that maid back on the phone. What was her name? Lily, right, I will talk to her. I don't want to hear my ungrateful son's voice. She said. Victor knew that his mother is a little upset with him, and no matter what he told her, he would not be able to please her. The only solution for such situations is the same they use on nuclear reactors, to let her cool down on her own. So he gave the phone to the surprised Lily and signaled her to talk to his mother. Lily quickly adjusted her mentality and answered Anne's rapid barrage of questions, most of them on how was Victor's health and if he was injured during the ceremony. Anne knew well that she does not have the right to know about the ceremony, but she had to make sure that her little boy was fine. And at last, after 15 minutes, Lily said goodbye respectfully and ended the call. Young master, your esteemed mother has ordered me to tell you that no matter what happens you should take good care of your health and that you should call her often, not like your brother and sister. Lily reported. Is that all? He asked. Lily's face blushed as she said with her face down, she ordered me to take care of all your needs, no matter what is your request. Good, said Victor with a smile. Then we shall start with your punishment, he said, to the shocked Lily. Young master, why? Lily asked with aggrieved eyes. First, you broke the family rules, escaped from the assassin's hall, and tried to sneak into the ancestral hall, so as your new master I have the responsibility to punish you, he said. Second, you lied to me, and third you told my mother that I was sleeping in your lap, and destroyed my good boy image in her mind. Without discipline, you will grow up to be a bad girl. Now, stand up, face the wall, and bend down, he ordered Lily whose face turned white with fear but had to do what her young master ordered. And then he spanked her butt hard, but he didn't using his full strength. It was 10:00 when Victor got himself dressed then went downstairs to order a late breakfast. But to his surprise, his father was already having a meal at the table in the kitchen. He seemed to have just arrived. George was there too, he serving behind his master. Good morning, father. Victor saluted his father, then sat down and ordered the maids to prepare some cereals for his breakfast. Theodore looked at Victor with a strange look in his eye. Is this still my coward son? He has some questions to ask him. Did you go to your grandmother's house yesterday? How did you convince her to help you? He asked. Theodore knew his mother was very stubborn, but his son was able to make her change her mind. He wanted to know how did he do that? Is his son really that competent? I did go there. Grandmother seemed very impressed by my talents, so she promised to help me, said Victor while stuffing his mouth with a toast covered in butter. Like I would believe that, Theodore rebuked, then continued, when I got the call from her late last night I was very surprised. She granted you a true blood status. You know that your big sister had to survive a deadly dungeon in order to get that status. Your grandfather almost had a nervous breakdown as your grandmother rarely interferes with the ceremony, he exclaimed. Victor stayed silent and continued to stuff his mouth with food. Where is that girl Lily? I heard you spent the night together, he asked after realizing that he wouldn't be able to get anything but lies out of Victor's mouth. I am here, master. Good morning. A crystal voice sounded, then a beautiful well-dressed Lily entered the kitchen and saluted with an aggrieved look in her eyes. Young master, why did you have to spank me so hard? I was barely able to change my clothes, she thought. She was wearing a black sundress, prepared for her by the maids. Theodore forgot to breathe for a second after looking at her. Yesterday, when he saw Lily in the hall she was nothing special, just a little beauty, but now after she cleaned up, she was on a completely different level. Damn it, I should have taken her for myself, maybe, he thought, then coughed twice to clear his throat, and stopped staring at her. He has an image to keep. Good, you are really fit to be my son's maid, he said with an appreciative look. Come then, help me and your young master pour some morning coffee, he said, wanting to change the subject. Lily nodded her head and then turned around and went to get 2 cups. Theodore could not help noticing a limp in her walk. she seems to be in pain. Damn you, Victor, he thought, then shot his son a murderous look. You took advantage of her as soon as you got here. Can't you have mercy on this little girl? Damn it, now it is too late, I can't take her. And with that, he abandoned his previous plans. Victor knew what Theodore was thinking about, and flashed a wide grin at his annoyed father. He did that to Lily on purpose, he had to make sure that the family thinks he had already slept with her. Theodore shook his head and thought with a sigh, that his son has fooled the entire family for the past few years, he seems to be a wolf in sheep's clothes, just like the rest of the family. He should take care of this son more in the future. He seems promising. Victor cleared his throat and interrupted Theodore's dark thoughts. Father, I want to remove the assassin's, Hall's mark from Lily, and put my own, as per family rules, he said. That is easy, Theodore said, then he signaled to George, who quickly went to another room and brought back a silver ring with the family crest printed on it in red. Theodore ordered Lily to give him her back, then he pointed the ring on her neck and activated some sort of command. A light shot from the ring and the spider tattoo on Lily's disappeared and was replaced by the family's crest. Now she has become ownerless, it's your turn, use your identity jade to brand her, he said. The identity token is the one he was given yesterday, it is a low-ranking artifact with functions related to the family. Victor looked Lily in the eyes and she looked back at him, then nodded, then she revealed her white nape before him, so he took out the purple jade hung around his neck and pointed it at Lily, and activated the branding command. A red light shot towards Lily, making the family crest disappear from her neck. Replacing it was a faint tattoo of a coat of arms with the letter V inside it. It is the crest the family granted him when he was born. And with that, no one in the family would be able to take her away from him. Chapter 19, The Flight. After breakfast, Victor had a brief discussion with his father, where he requested some documentation for Lily, so Theodore ordered George to prepare them immediately. After everything was ready, Victor left the house after saying goodbye to his father, who only seemed to be interested in giving Lily a goodbye hug. It's not that he still has thoughts about her, but with her bloodline and talent, she was the perfect daughter-in-law. He wants to see her give birth to his grandchildren fast. If they also turned up to be as talented as their parents, his rank in the family would become even higher. This made Victor suddenly remember something very important. He quickly went back into the house and talked to one of the maids, then returned with a veil and handed it to the astonished Lily. Cover your mouth with this. Your beauty is going to cause me a lot of problems, he said in an annoyed voice, but Lily, who quickly put on the veil while smiling, knew that he was very jealous and protective of her. But the veil was barely able to hide her beauty, as even with only her eyes showing, Lily was still a charmer. He could only sigh. His target was to live as a low-key young master, but with such beauty at his side, that will be much harder. Ellipsis. It was noon when the black luxurious car stopped at the airport. This airport was built on an artificial island, near the coast of the central island. It was the only official way in and out of the archipelago. They did not have to wait for long to board the plane as it was a private jet, and they seemed to be the only passengers, as the allocations of the awakened players will not be over in a few days, so the others can't leave here yet. The beautiful flight attendants welcomed them and led each of them to a wide comfy chair to sit on. These chairs are so different from the ones in commercial planes, here each chair is so wild, you can squeeze in it 3 people if you tried. And after fastening their seat belts, the plane shortly took off on time. Sitting on the comfortable chair, Victor could not help but yawn. He only slept for 5 hours last night. Then he looked at Lily, who was having difficulty keeping her eyes open. She slept even less than him, so he quickly stood up, took a blanket, and walked over to Lily's seat. Then to her and the flight attendant's surprise, he sat with her in the same chair and then put the blanket on both of them, then said, "I didn't sleep enough last night, and I need a good pillow, so I will use you," he said to the astonished Lily. Her young master is reaching new levels of shamelessness. She looked at the flight attendants, who had strange look in their eyes. "What are you all looking at? If any of you dares to disturb my young master's sleep, I will kill her," she warned. She sounded stern, but in fact, she was hiding her shyness. "You should sleep too. This is an order," Victor told her. "If I wake up to find that you are not asleep, I will punish you again," he said, and with that, he reclined the chair, then put his head on Lily's shoulder and dozed off. Poor Lily did learn her lesson the hard way. So she followed her young master's command and went to sleep immediately after giving the pretty attendants a threatening look. It was 6 p.m. when Victor woke up, and to his surprise, the situation between him and Lily has reversed. Now his head is resting on the seat's headrest, while Lily's head was on his shoulder. Feeling Lily's relaxed breath, it seems she was really tired, he thought, so he did not disturb her and looked around the cabin for some flight attendant to molest, but to his disappointment, he found none and the cabin was empty. Apparently Lily scared them away. Too bad, he thought, he wanted to flirt with some of them. Well, Lily will have to be punished again it seems. He waited in silence for half an hour, using it to think about his next move. Vane City, a place full of memories. Back then, he had to take this plane with 10 others. And it was not a happy trip. The others kept taunting him, they were probably following someone's order. He will get his revenge, but it is not the right time yet, he was still too weak. His enemy was still not that strong at this time, but the forces behind him are. So he will have to blind them and act in the shadows. His first step would be to take care of their agent in Vane City, his enemy, his cousin. But that will have to wait until school starts, as there would be a chance for a hidden attack then. But he will need some preparations. He did hear of a dungeon that was discovered shortly after he arrived there. Maybe he can use it to level up a little and find some treasures that can help at the same time. Suddenly the lights in the cabin turned on automatically. It seems we are going to land soon, so he closed his eyes pretending to be asleep. As in this moment, Lily opened her beautiful eyes and discovered, to her dismay, that her head was on her young master's shoulder. First, she blushed, but then she panicked. What if the young master got angry? So she slowly raised her head and looked around, making sure there was no one in the cabin, then slowly adjusted herself so that Victor's head naturally fell onto her. Victor played along and his head fell again onto Lily's shoulder. So she breathed a sigh of relief, but this relief did not last, as in the next moment she heard her young master mocking voice. "Did you really think you can trick me?" Victor asked while keeping his head on her shoulder. "Sorry young master, I did not intend to disturb you," Lily said in shame. "I am not disturbed. We will probably be landing soon." Victor raised his head then looked Lily in the eyes. "She seems to have rested well," he thought, as her eyes are no longer bloodshot. So he stood up and started to stretch his limbs while watching Lily tied up the blanket with a smile on her face. She thought she got away with it, he thought with an evil smile. Before Victor could implement his evil thoughts, the captain's voice came through the internal speakers, requesting the passengers to return to their seats and fasten their seat belts, as the plane was about to land. Through the window, the sparkling lights of Vane City could be seen. Chapter 20. Arrival. Getting off the plane, Victor hugged Lily from the back like a perverted young master and whispered in her ear. "From now on I will start to act like an arrogant young master who fears the strong and abuses the weak, so play along with me," he ordered her. Lily was surprised, but she understood him and nodded her head. "Young master, you genuinely like to abuse the weak," she whispered in a faint voice. But Victor acted as if he heard nothing. They walked straight from the runway to the street outside of the airport, as this airport was operated by the family and he came in a private family jet. He didn't have to wait for his bags as he didn't have any, all of his luggage was sent to the mansion. As for Lily, she had none and she needs to go shopping ASAP. At the door, there was a luxurious car waiting for them. It held the logo of Horizons Media, so Victor recognized it at once. It was sent by his new company, so he walked towards it with Lily. Standing next to the car was a young driver with oily combed hair. When Victor approached him, he quickly looked at a photo in his hand and then walked forward and saluted Victor. "Mr. Victor White, I presume?" he asked to make sure. Victor nodded his head a little in confirmation. "Hello sir, my name is Leo, I am a driver in your company, I was tasked to pick you up by the vice president." The driver? Why were you so late? You should have driven this car through the runway to get me," said Victor arrogantly, putting his hands on his waist. "How dare you make me walk? And where is that vice president? I heard she is a beauty, and even my father liked her, why is she not here to welcome me?" He continued while looking around as if searching for someone, making Leo wonder if this new CEO was an idiot or just arrogant. As for Lily, she looked at him strangely, but then quickly remembered what he told her before. And decided to play her part as well. "Don't be angry young master, he can't enter there, he is just doing his job. Let's quickly go and see the mansion your father gifted you. Didn't you say it was very grand and promised to show me around? As for the vice president, you will be able to see her tomorrow anyway and maybe punish her for her disrespect," she said as if she was appeasing a child, making Victor nod in agreement and seemed to repeat the word, punish, silently with an evil smile. Then Lily turned to the frowning Leo and bowed slightly. "Sorry Mr. Leo, but my young master is usually on a tight schedule," he did not mean any offense. she stepped forward and said, "Let me introduce myself, my name is Lily, I am a young master's assistant." Looking at Lily, Leo was startled, he didn't pay attention to this veiled girl earlier. But now after he looked at her he could tell that she must be a super beauty. Too bad he couldn't have a clear look at her face. As the thin veil only revealed her beautiful eyes. He was able to pull himself back together and stretched his hand offering Lily a handshake with a bright smile flashed on his face. "Hello, Miss Lily." But he could never touch her, as Victor interrupted him rudely while shooting him an angry look. "What are you waiting for? Do you want this young master to beg so you can open the door for him? Do you want to be fired so bad? What happened to your work ethics?" he mumbled. Leo was a little annoyed. This morning the vice president told him personally that the new CEO of the company would arrive this afternoon. She gave him the task of being the CEO's driver for the time being. When he got Victor's information he was flabbergasted. The new CEO turned out to be a teenager, so he inquired about him from the VP, but she did not tell him much, so he did his usual information gathering the old way, and after collecting gossips from here and there, he got a general idea. It seems this Victor is the son of the owner of their parent company, and he was here to attend high school, so his father gave him a company to train his hands. When he woke up this morning, Leo thought that this was his chance. If he can please this guy and gain his trust, he is set for life. Now, it seems like this young master has something wrong in his head, and this girl is taking advantage of that. No, I have to find a chance to get in his shoes too, Leo thought while opening the back door of the car and waiting for the passengers to get in. Victor looked at Leo's frowning face with some amusement. This guy is as opportunistic as ever. He thought. He met Leo in his past life too, and he knew that Leo was not the simple guy he seems to be. But Victor is not going to throw him away, on the contrary, he is going to put him to good use. He is not a bad guy anyway. Lily entered the car first and dusted the seat for Victor, who entered the car arrogantly, but due to his weird posture, he hit the car's roof with his head, so he screamed and shot Leo a murderous look, but Lily quickly appeased to sit down. Leo acted as if he saw nothing and professionally closed the door, went to his seat, and started the engine, then inquired about their destination, so Lily quickly gave him the address of Victor's new mansion. After the car drove for about 5 minutes, Leo started to adjust the mirror casually, wanting to use it to sneak a peek at Lily, but what he saw made him almost hit the car in front of him, but as an old driver, he was able to get hold of the car pretty quickly. It was Victor who ordered Lily to massage his injured head, then he gave her the signal to kiss his injury so it can heal. So the blushing Lily removed the veil and quickly pecked her young master on the forehead, before putting the veil back on, hiding her blushing face. This was seen by Leo, who after stabilizing the almost wrecked car, did not dare look anymore. Damn, this chick is so pretty, he thought, why does she have to be with this idiot? It's like putting a fresh flower in cow dung. Very rich cow dung. He really began to hate this new CEO. But he quickly reminded himself to be patient. He has to get close to this young master, so maybe someday. A perverted smile slowly appeared on Leo's face. They reached the mansion pretty quickly. While it is called a mansion, in fact, it was a complex of 4 huge buildings built on top of a hill. It contains everything a young master might need, from a pool to a gym and a separate building for the servants. It was also surrounded by lush evergreen forest. Leo could not help but swallow his saliva. Damn, if this is just his son's mansion, how rich the father. As for Victor, he looked at this complex strangely. When he arrived at this city back then, this entire hill was burnt to the ground. He wondered what happened, so he decided to task Lily with surveying the property. Just to be sure, after the car stopped next to a closed gate down the hill, a guard went out of his booth to check the visitors. He spoke with Leo, then looked at the back seat where Victor and Lily were sitting and nodded in respect before quickly retreating to call his boss. After a few minutes, a middle-aged woman came out of the gate. She seems to be the manager here. She was dressed in a dark blue long dress and her brown hair was arranged in a bun. On her face, Victor could see the signs that she was a beauty when she was younger. And he could immediately tell that she must be a player. She just came from the top of the hill and didn't seem to be out of breath at all. So he activated his appraisal skill. Name, Hilda. Level, 21. Class, Maid Plus. Abnormal status, Slave Weak. Authority, 3. Strength, 29. Agility, 25. Intelligence, 30. Luck, 15. Charm, 9. Order, 15. Skills, I for talents, S. Passive, spotless cleaning, A. Dagger arts, B. She must be one of my father's servants, but I have never seen her before. Her status is average, but she has some interesting skills," thought Victor before leaning out of the window to address her. "Are you the manager here? Why are we not inside yet? This young master is hungry and wants to have a good meal," Victor said with a loud voice. Hilda frowned a little, but after a minute she recognized him as the new master of this mansion, according to the information sent by the family, so she quickly reacted and greeted him respectfully. "I just wanted to make sure it was you, young master. My name is Hilda, I am the manager here, and the master has already informed me of your arrival," she said. Then she bartered at the guard. "What are you doing?" Quickly opened the gate for the young master. The guard, who was surprised, quickly responded by pressing a button on a bulky device in his hand, and the large gate opened a second later. Hilda entered the car with them and sat next to Leo, who, after greeting her, started to drive uphill, towards the central building.